Today we'll be talking about relationship and money. Do you know that money is actually one of the reasons why we have many breakups in the world right now, and one of those principal reasons why the rate of divorce is going up high every day? Money is one of those very fundamental things you should and must get to talk about even before marriage. So a question that's often always asked is, when is the appropriate time to talk about money in a relationship? Like, you're in a relationship with this guy and it's not been long, I assume, and you're wondering when is the appropriate time, when is the best time to talk about money without cutting off as being money minded or anything. I mean, you guys know better, but when is the appropriate time? And when I get this question, what comes to my mind is, when is the appropriate time, or when do you guys talk about family, your individual families? When do you guys talk about future in-laws? When do you guys talk about your religion? When do you guys talk about your beliefs, about your future dreams? When do you guys talk about that? I mean, it's going to be really awkward to bring all of those up in the first date, right? So definitely you'll know, like, from the moment when you start having these intimate talks, like these firm talks, getting stable in your relationship, that's the moment it pops up. I can't tell you after 2-3 months you get to ask the question like, oh, how much do you earn and how do you manage your finance? Are you on any stuff? Do you budget your money? No. That's going to be way overboard, right? But the thing is, while you're in a relationship, you evaluate the growth, you see how it's going so far. The minute you realize that you both are comfortable talking about your families to each other and referring to them as in-laws, talking about the number of kids you want to have together, talking about, oh, where you see yourselves together in the next year or the next 2 years, then that's the appropriate time to talk about money. And statistics has proven that when a couple tend to agree on money, on religion, on their beliefs generally, statistics have proven that such relationships or such marriage will last longer. It's something you should have an elaborate discussion over. It's not something you should rush over. You should have an elaborate discussion over, so you get to understand the other person. You get to understand if this person, you definitely must not even get to talk about how much this person earns per se, right? Like, maybe that is going to come much later in the relationship when you're so certain she's the one and things like that. But and then you both get to talk about how you just engage her or engage him in a conversation, like, so what do you do when you and everything? Just find a way to pop up the question, and then you observe his or her lifestyle, because there are people, trust me, there are people who can spend, there are people who just receive their money and they spend. There are people who are big on saving. Okay, so you should be able to understand the other partner. You should be able to understand who this person is or how this person gets to manage his or her income. I'm not saying you merge incomes together at that point yet. No, you don't merge your income, but get to understand how this person is and how this person deals with their money, because one person can be so big on saving. Yeah, one person can be so big on saving and the other person is just spending, like they just live as you go. If you realize you're the one who's not big on saving, or you're not big on investing, or you're not so smart in handling money, why not yield to certain advice from the other person who's big on saving, who's big on investing and things like that? If you're not so good at managing money, you can always take advice from the person who's good at managing money. It doesn't reduce you in any way. You must be able to express your financial expectations for the other person. Yes, like, you should get to talk about things like, okay, so how do you manage this, and what do you think about if we start living together when we're married, how do you look at this and that? I expect that you should be able to cut down on this thing. I expect you to be able to cut down on A, B, C, D. Get to understand this and express your expectations financially to avoid the feeling of being used. I emphasize on this because when you don't communicate about your financial expectations to your partner, your supposed husband, your supposed wife, that feeling of being used is inevitable. Yes, it's inevitable, and that's exactly what deteriorates down to broken homes tomorrow. That's exactly what deteriorates down to broken engagements and things like that. It is not a topic that can be avoided. It must be dealt with before marriage. Yes, you have to deal with that because the frustration at that point is just going to be too much. You feel like you're earning money and the other person is just spending the money only to come back to you tomorrow to ask for money. This is a talk you must have. If someone keeps flaring up and avoiding the talk, please look for a convenient means to have this talk, so that if you're not going to agree, if nobody's going to compromise, you better just find your way now while you're still in the relationship rather than getting into marriage, because at that point it's different. When it comes to finance, managing your finances in marriage is a whole different ball game. Okay, so right now it's just finance and your relationship. So if you both see you cannot compromise on certain things, then it's better you just let things be. So all right guys, I've come to the end of the video. I hope you've learned a thing or two, and I hope I've answered the principal question in relationships. Until then, it's goodbye and have a blessed week.